The music was loud, the city lights stretching under the rooftop like everything was still in place, like nothing had changed. Olivia stood next to me, smiling, holding my arm, but something felt off. "You okay?" I asked quietly, leaning closer. "Yeah, just tired," she replied, her tone light, but her eyes didn't meet mine. I noticed it again, the way she kept her phone face down, the way her replies were short, like she was somewhere else. "You've been distant," I said, not accusing, just stating it. She laughed softly. "You're overthinking again." I nodded like I believed her, but I didn't. Something inside me had already started paying attention. We moved through the crowd, greeting people, pretending everything was normal. I kept watching her without making it obvious. Every little thing stood out now. She checked her phone, then slipped it back into her purse too quickly. She smiled at someone across the room, a smile I hadn't seen in days. "Who's that?" I asked casually. "Just someone from work," she said, already looking away. I followed her gaze and saw him, tall, confident, the kind of man who didn't wait for attention, he took it. Ryan. I didn't know his name yet, but I knew his type. Olivia stepped slightly away from me. Not far, just enough to create space. That was the first moment my chest tightened. I didn't say anything. I just watched. She walked toward him like she had somewhere to be, like she had been waiting for that moment. He smiled when he saw her, and she smiled back, different this time, softer, real. "You made it," he said, his voice smooth even from a distance. "Of course," she replied, almost laughing. I stood where I was, invisible, like I had been erased from the picture. He leaned closer, his hand brushing her arm, and she didn't pull away. Not even a second of hesitation. I felt it then, that sharp, quiet realization. Something wasn't right. I took a slow breath, forcing myself to stay still. I could have walked over. I could have asked questions. But I didn't. "Jason," she called a few minutes later, walking back like nothing had happened. "Come meet Ryan." I looked at her, really looked this time. Her expression was calm, controlled, like she had already decided how this would go. "Sure," I said, my voice steady. She introduced us with that same perfect smile. "This is Ryan, he's an investment." He extended his hand. "Nice to meet you." I shook it firmly. "You too." His grip was confident, but his eyes, they lingered just a little too long, like he already knew something I didn't. "Olivia's told me a lot about you," he added. I glanced at her. She didn't react. "Good things, I hope," I said. He smirked slightly. "Of course." We stood there for a moment, exchanging small talk that meant nothing. But I wasn't listening anymore. I was watching them. The way she turned slightly toward him, not me. The way her attention shifted without effort. The way he spoke like he already had a place in her life. "I'll grab a drink," she said suddenly, stepping away again. He watched her leave, then looked back at me. "She's impressive," he said casually. I nodded. "She is." There was a pause, heavy but quiet. "You've been together long?" he asked. "Long enough," I replied. He smiled again, like that answer didn't matter. I didn't follow her this time. I stayed back, blending into the crowd, letting the noise cover everything. From where I stood, I could see her at the bar. He joined her again. This time there was no space between them. She leaned in, saying something I couldn't hear, and he laughed, placing his hand lightly on her back. She didn't move away. That was it. No denial, no confusion. Just truth, clear and simple. I felt something break inside me, but it wasn't loud. It was quiet, controlled, like something shutting down instead of exploding. Daniel's voice cut through my thoughts. "Hey man, you good?" I turned slightly. "Yeah." He frowned. "You don't look it." I exhaled slowly. "Just thinking." He followed my gaze and went silent for a second. "You see that too?" he asked under his breath. I nodded once. "Don't do anything stupid," he added. I almost smiled. "I won't." And I meant it. Because in that moment, I wasn't angry. I wasn't desperate. I was clear. I watched them for a few more seconds, then looked away. That version of me, the one who would confront, argue, demand answers, was already gone. "You're not going to say anything?" Daniel asked. I shook my head. "Not tonight." He studied me carefully. "Then when?" I slipped my hands into my pockets, my voice calm. "I don't need to." He didn't understand, but he didn't push further. Olivia came back later, acting like nothing had happened. "Where did you disappear?" she asked lightly. "Just needed some air," I replied. She stepped closer, touching my arm again like she was trying to reset everything. "You should have told me." I looked at her hand, then at her face. "You seem busy." She hesitated for half a second, then smiled. "Don't start." I nodded slowly. "I'm not." We stood there together, but it didn't feel the same anymore. Everything had shifted and she didn't even notice. Or maybe she thought I didn't notice. Either way, it didn't matter. The music kept playing, people kept laughing, the city kept glowing like nothing was wrong. But for me, everything was different. Ready to go? She asked after a while. I looked at her, really looked this time, and realized something simple. I wasn't losing her. I had already lost her. And somehow that made everything easier. Yeah, I said quietly. Let's go. We walked toward the exit side by side, but there was distance now, invisible but real. She checked her phone again as we waited for the elevator. I didn't ask who she was texting. I didn't care. Not anymore. The doors opened and we stepped inside. Silence filled the space between us. You're quiet, she said, glancing at me. I met her eyes for a brief second. Just tired? She nodded, accepting it without question. That was the moment I understood everything. She wasn't worried. She wasn't afraid. She thought she was in control. The elevator reached the ground floor and the doors slid open. I stepped out first, the cool night air hitting my face. For the first time that night I felt calm. Not because nothing had happened, but because everything had. That was the moment I made my decision. I wouldn't argue. I wouldn't chase. I wouldn't break. I would walk away. And I wouldn't leave empty-handed. I didn't say anything after that night. Not a question, not an accusation, not even a hint. Olivia walked beside me like nothing had changed, and I matched her pace like everything was still normal. You've been quiet, Olivia said the next morning, leaning against the kitchen counter. Just tired, I replied, pouring coffee like my hands weren't steady inside. From what? Olivia asked, watching me closely. I shrugged. Work, life, everything. Olivia stepped closer, studying my face. You're overthinking again. I let out a small breath and nodded. Maybe. But inside I wasn't overthinking. I was seeing clearly for the first time. Every word Olivia spoke felt rehearsed. Every smile looked placed, not real. I noticed how Olivia kept checking the phone, how Olivia stepped out to take calls, how Olivia avoided eye contact when conversations got even slightly personal. I didn't react. I didn't ask. I just watched. You know you can talk to me, right? Olivia said later that evening, sitting beside me on the couch. I looked at Olivia for a second, then looked away. Yeah, I know. Olivia smiled softly. Then talk. I leaned back, keeping my voice calm. There's nothing to say. Olivia hesitated, then laughed lightly. You're being weird. I almost smiled at that. Am I? Olivia nodded. You've been distant. I held that word in my mind for a moment. Distant. That was what Olivia had been first. I just mirrored it. Maybe I'm just thinking about things, I said. Olivia tilted the head slightly. What things? I met Olivia's eyes this time, steady and quiet. The future. That answer seemed to satisfy Olivia, or maybe Olivia didn't care enough to question it further. Well, don't think too much, Olivia said, standing up. Things are fine. I watched Olivia walk away, and that was the moment I realized something simple. Olivia wasn't worried about losing me. Olivia thought I was already secured. Daniel called me that night. We need to talk, Daniel said, voice serious. About what? I asked, already knowing. About Olivia. I stayed silent for a second. What about Olivia? Daniel exhaled. Don't play dumb. I saw what happened. I leaned against the wall, staring at nothing. I know. There was a pause on the line. You know? Daniel sounded surprised. Yeah, I said calmly. I saw it too. Daniel's tone shifted. Then why are you acting like nothing's wrong? I closed my eyes for a moment. Because reacting won't change anything. Daniel didn't reply immediately. So what, you're just going to ignore it? I shook my head even though Daniel couldn't see it. No, I'm just not going to rush. Daniel sounded frustrated. That doesn't make sense. I opened my eyes, my voice steady. It does. I'm thinking before I move. Another pause. Then Daniel spoke again, softer this time. You're not planning something stupid, right? I let out a quiet breath. No. I'm planning something smart. Daniel didn't argue after that. Just, don't let this mess you up, Daniel said. I almost laughed, but there was no humor in it. It won't, I replied. Not this time. The next few days were different. Not on the outside, everything looked the same, but inside, everything had shifted. I started paying attention to details I used to ignore. The shared accounts, the business documents, the lease agreement. Olivia trusted me with everything because Olivia believed I was harmless. That trust became my advantage. Can you send me the login for the business account? I asked one afternoon, keeping my tone casual. Olivia didn't even hesitate. It's the same as always, Olivia replied, barely looking up from the phone. I nodded. Right. That was the problem. Everything was the same, for Olivia. For me, everything was changing. I reviewed transactions, checked ownership details, and read every line of every agreement we had ever signed together. Slowly, quietly, I started separating things. Not in a way that would raise suspicion, but enough to prepare myself. Enough to make sure that when I walked away, I wouldn't lose what I had built. Are you working late again? Olivia asked one night as I sat with my laptop. Yeah, I replied without looking up. Trying to fix some numbers. Olivia sighed. You've been doing that a lot. I nodded. Business needs attention. Olivia walked over and placed a hand on my shoulder. Don't forget about me. I paused for a second, then looked up at Olivia. I won't. That answer was true, just not in the way Olivia thought. I wouldn't forget. I would remember everything. Every lie. Every moment. Every choice Olivia made. And I would use it, not for revenge driven by anger, but for control driven by clarity. Olivia leaned down slightly. We're still good, right? I held Olivia's gaze, calm and unreadable. Yeah, I said quietly. We're good. Olivia smiled, satisfied, and walked away again. That was the moment I understood the difference between who I was and who I was becoming. Before, I would have asked questions. I would have searched for answers. I would have tried to fix something that was already broken. But now I didn't need answers. I already had them. What I needed was timing. I stopped reacting. I stopped feeling the urge to confront. Instead, I started thinking ahead. Every move I made had a purpose. Every word I spoke was measured. Olivia thought I was drifting, but I was positioning. Olivia thought I was confused, but I was focused. The balance of power had already started shifting. It just wasn't visible yet. And the best part? Olivia had no idea. That was why I stayed calm. Because this time, silence wasn't weakness. Silence was my weapon. I didn't expect the truth to come from Lisa. I expected silence, excuses, maybe even lies, but not honesty. Lisa texted me first. We need to talk, Lisa wrote. I stared at the message for a few seconds before replying. About what? Lisa didn't answer right away. Then another message came. About Olivia. I didn't feel surprised. I just felt ready. Where? I asked. Lisa sent me a location, a quiet cafe far from the noise. When I walked in, Lisa was already there, sitting near the window, hands wrapped around a cup like Lisa needed something to hold on to. Lisa looked up when I approached. Jason, thanks for coming. I pulled the chair back and sat down. Just say it, I said calmly. Lisa hesitated, eyes dropping for a moment. Jason, I didn't want to get involved. I leaned back slightly. Then don't. Just tell me the truth. Lisa swallowed, then nodded slowly. It's been going on for months. I didn't react. I just watched Lisa's face. How long? I asked. Almost 4 months, Lisa replied quietly. I let that settle in my mind. 4 months. Not a mistake. Not a moment. A decision. And Ryan? I asked. Lisa nodded. Ryan isn't new. Olivia met Ryan through a client event. After that, things changed. I stayed silent, letting Lisa continue. Lisa took a breath. Olivia said Ryan could offer a better life. More connections, more money, more everything. I looked down at the table for a second, then back at Lisa. So Olivia planned it? Lisa didn't answer immediately. That silence was enough, but Lisa spoke anyway. Olivia was waiting. Olivia didn't want to leave until everything was secure. I felt something shift inside me, not pain, not anger, just clarity. Secure? I repeated. Yeah, Lisa said. Ryan promised to bring Olivia into bigger deals, help Olivia move up faster. Olivia didn't want to risk losing stability before that. I let out a slow breath. So I was the backup plan. Lisa's eyes softened. Jason, I'm sorry. I shook my head slightly. Don't be. Just keep going. Lisa hesitated again. Olivia talked about leaving you after everything was set. Olivia said you were safe. Predictable. I almost smiled at that. Safe, I repeated quietly. Lisa nodded. Olivia didn't think you'd fight back. I leaned forward slightly, resting my arms on the table. And what did Olivia think I'd do? Lisa looked at me carefully. Break. Or beg. That was the moment I felt it fully, not heartbreak, not rage, but something colder. Something sharper. Anything else? I asked. Lisa looked unsure. There's more, but Say it, I interrupted, my voice still calm. Lisa nodded. Olivia started moving things slowly. Money, contacts, opportunities. Olivia was preparing to step out without losing anything. I tilted my head slightly. Without losing anything, I repeated. Lisa gave a small nod. That was the plan. I leaned back again, my expression unreadable. Good plan, I said. Lisa frowned slightly. Jason? I raised a hand lightly. No, really. Smart. Careful. Calculated. Lisa looked confused. You're not angry? I met Lisa's eyes directly. No, that answer surprised even me, but it was true. I wasn't angry anymore. Anger was loud. What I felt was quiet. Controlled. Focused. Jason, I didn't tell you this to hurt you, Lisa said softly. I know, I replied. You told me because you couldn't carry it anymore. Lisa nodded slowly. Yeah. I stood up, pulling my jacket slightly. Then you did the right thing. Lisa looked at me, searching for something. What are you going to do? I paused for a second, then gave a small, calm answer. Nothing. Lisa blinked. Nothing? I nodded. Not yet. Lisa didn't push further. Lisa just watched me as I turned and walked away. That night, I sat alone in the apartment. The same place where everything had started, where every memory lived. I looked around slowly, taking it all in. The couch where Olivia used to fall asleep next to me. The kitchen where Olivia used to laugh over small things. The table where we planned our future. Funny, I muttered quietly, running a hand through my hair. All of this meant something once. I sat down, leaning forward slightly, elbows resting on my knees. My phone buzzed. Olivia's name lit up the screen. Where are you? Olivia asked when I answered. Out, I replied simply. You didn't tell me, Olivia said, a slight edge in the voice. I let a second pass. Didn't think I had to. Olivia paused. Are you okay? I almost laughed, but I kept it in. Yeah. Why wouldn't I be? Olivia hesitated again. You've been different. I leaned back, staring at the ceiling. People change. Olivia went quiet for a moment. Are we okay? I closed my eyes briefly, then opened them again. We're fine, I said calmly. Olivia seemed to relax at that. Okay. Come home soon. I ended the call without replying. I sat there for a long time after that, letting everything settle into place. 4 months of lies. 4 months of planning. 4 months of being used. I should have felt broken. I should have felt betrayed beyond repair. But instead, I felt something else. I felt awake. You played it well, I said quietly to myself. Now it's my turn. I stood up slowly, walking toward the window, looking out at the city lights. Everything looked the same. But I wasn't the same anymore. No more questions, I muttered. No more chances. I wasn't going to confront Olivia. I wasn't going to argue or demand explanations. That would only give Olivia what Olivia expected, a reaction. And I wasn't giving that anymore. I had something better. I had control. You wanted a better life, I said under my breath. Let's see how that works out. I walked back to the table, picking up my laptop, opening the files I had already started reviewing. Accounts, agreements, ownership. Every detail mattered now. Every move had to be precise. Olivia thought everything was already decided. Olivia thought the outcome was guaranteed. That was the biggest mistake. Because the game wasn't over. It had just begun. And this time I wasn't playing to stay. I was playing to win. I didn't rush anything after that night. I didn't need to. Every move I made had to be quiet, clean, and invisible. Olivia walked around the apartment like everything was still normal, like nothing had changed, and I let it stay that way. You've been working a lot lately, Olivia said one evening, leaning against the doorway while I sat with my laptop open. Something like that, I replied without looking up. Olivia stepped closer. Don't burn yourself out. I gave a small nod. I won't. That was the truth. I wasn't burning out, I was building control. Every document I reviewed, every account I checked, every detail I confirmed, it all added up. I wasn't reacting anymore. I was preparing. Can you send me the updated business files? I asked casually the next day. Olivia barely glanced at me. Why? Olivia asked. I kept my tone relaxed. I want to clean things up, make sure everything's organized. Olivia shrugged. Sure, I'll send them later. I nodded. Appreciate it. That was how easy it had become. Olivia didn't question me anymore. Olivia didn't see me as a threat. That made everything simpler. Later that night, when the files came through, I went through every line carefully. Ownership percentages. Access rights. clauses we had ignored before. I reached out to Adrian Cole the same night. I need to make some changes, I said over the phone. Adrian's voice was calm and professional. What kind of changes? I leaned back slightly. The kind that protect me. Adrian paused for a second. Understood. Send everything over. I'll handle it. I didn't explain further. I didn't need to. Adrian knew exactly what that meant. Ryan started showing up more often after that. Not openly, not directly, but enough to be noticed. Ryan might stop by later, Olivia mentioned one afternoon like it was nothing. I looked up briefly. For what? Olivia smiled lightly. Work stuff. I nodded once. Of course. That word almost felt ironic. When Ryan walked into the apartment that evening, the energy shifted immediately. Good to see you again, Ryan said, extending a hand. I shook it, calm and steady. You too. Olivia stood between us, relaxed, comfortable, like this was normal. Ryan glanced around the apartment. Nice place, Ryan said. Thanks, I replied. We built it together. That line hung in the air for a second, but neither of them reacted. They didn't hear it the way I meant it. Or maybe they didn't care. We'll just be in the other room, Olivia said, already moving away with Ryan. I nodded. Take your time. I sat there, listening to the low murmur of voices behind the closed door. I didn't need to hear the words. I already knew the meaning. Instead, I opened my laptop again and continued working. Numbers, agreements, transfers. Every step was small, but every step mattered. I wasn't trying to take everything at once. I was making sure that when the moment came, there would be nothing left for Olivia to hold on to. A few days later, I met Victor Langford. Adrian had set it up. Victor is interested in meeting you, Adrian had said. Why? I asked. Because Victor sees potential, Adrian replied. That was enough for me. When I walked into Victor's office, everything about the place spoke of control. Clean lines. Sharp design. No distractions. Victor sat behind the desk, watching me carefully. Jason, Victor said, standing up and offering a handshake. Victor. I returned it, matching the firmness. Adrian speaks highly of you, Victor said. I gave a slight nod. Adrian sees results. Victor smiled faintly. I like that answer. Victor gestured toward the chair. Sit. I did. So tell me, Victor continued, leaning forward slightly. Why are you here? I held Victor's gaze. Because I'm building something bigger than what I have. Victor studied me for a moment. And what are you willing to risk for that? I didn't hesitate. Everything that doesn't matter. Victor's expression shifted slightly. And what matters? I gave a simple answer. Control. That was the moment Victor smiled for real. Good, Victor said. Then we understand each other. That meeting changed everything. Victor didn't just offer advice. Victor opened doors. Opportunities one hadn't even considered before suddenly became real. Deals. Connections. Growth. While Olivia focused on Ryan and whatever future Olivia thought was waiting, I was stepping into something far bigger. You're different, Victor said during one of our later meetings. Most people react emotionally. You don't. I leaned back slightly. Emotions are loud. Control is quiet. Victor nodded. That's why you'll win. I didn't respond to that. I didn't need to. I already knew. At home, nothing looked different. Olivia still smiled. Olivia still talked about small things. Olivia still acted like everything was stable. You've been in a good mood lately, Olivia said one night, watching me carefully. I met Olivia's eyes briefly. Things are working out. Olivia smiled. That's good. I nodded. Yeah, it is. Olivia didn't ask what I meant. Olivia didn't look deeper. That was the pattern now. Olivia saw what Olivia wanted to see. You should meet Ryan properly sometime, Olivia added casually. I raised an eyebrow slightly. I thought I already did. Olivia laughed lightly. I mean, outside of quick meetings. Ryan has a lot of connections. I leaned back, keeping my tone even. I'm sure Ryan does. Olivia smiled, satisfied with that answer. It could be good for you. I nodded slowly. Maybe. But inside, I already knew something Olivia didn't. I didn't need Ryan. I didn't need anything Ryan was offering. I was building something that didn't depend on anyone like that. The more Olivia ignored me, the easier everything became. The more Olivia focused on Ryan, the more freedom I had to move without being noticed. Every asset I secured, every document I adjusted, every connection I built, it all stacked quietly in my favor. Olivia thought Olivia was stepping into a better life. Olivia thought Olivia was upgrading. But the truth was simple. Olivia was walking away from everything that mattered. And I was taking it back. Piece by piece. Step by step. Without noise. Without warning. Without hesitation. By the time Olivia realized what was happening, it would already be too late. Because the game had already changed. And this time, I was the one in control. I woke up early that morning, earlier than usual, like something inside me had already decided the day before I even opened my eyes. The apartment was quiet. No noise, no movement, just a calm stillness that matched exactly how I felt. I sat on the edge of the bed for a few seconds, then stood up and started packing. Not everything, just what mattered. Clothes, documents, my laptop, a few personal things that still meant something to me. Olivia walked out of the bedroom while I was folding a shirt. "What are you doing?" Olivia asked, voice filled with confusion. I didn't look up. Packing. There was a pause. For what? I zipped the bag halfway, then looked at Olivia calmly. "I'm leaving." Olivia blinked like the words didn't register. "Leaving where?" I picked up another shirt. "Out." Olivia let out a short laugh like it was a joke. "Stop playing." I met Olivia's eyes, steady and quiet. "I'm not playing." The smile on Olivia's face faded slowly. "Jason, what is this?" I didn't answer right away. I just continued packing. That silence started doing the work for me. "Is this because of something I said?" Olivia stepped closer. "If this is about work stress, we can fix it." I shook my head slightly. "It's not about that." Olivia frowned. "Then what is it about?" I zipped the bag fully this time and placed it on the floor. "It's about me being done." Olivia's expression shifted from confusion to irritation. "Done with what?" I picked up my laptop and slid it into the bag. "With this." Olivia crossed the arms. "That doesn't make sense. You can't just walk out without explaining anything." I looked at Olivia again, calm as ever. "I can." Olivia took a step forward, voice rising slightly. "No, you can't. We have things together. The apartment, the business, handled," I said quietly, cutting Olivia off. Olivia froze for a second. "What do you mean handled?" I didn't rush the answer. "I mean everything is already taken care of." Olivia's brows pulled together. "Taken care of how?" I walked past Olivia toward the table, picking up a folder. "Legally," I replied, placing it down in front of Olivia. "You should read it." Olivia didn't touch it immediately. "What is this?" I met Olivia's gaze. "The part you didn't plan for." Olivia grabbed the folder and opened it quickly, scanning the pages. I watched as the expression changed, confusion first, then disbelief, then something sharper. "What is this?" Olivia asked again, voice tighter now. "Account separation, ownership revision. What did you do?" I leaned against the table, arms relaxed. "I protected what's mine." Olivia shook the head slightly. "No, this isn't right. This isn't possible." I didn't move. "It is." Olivia flipped through more pages, breathing uneven now. "The lease, the business, this says," Olivia stopped mid-sentence, eyes widening. "This says everything is under you." I nodded once. "It is." Olivia looked up at me and for the first time I saw it, that crack in the confidence. "You can't just do this without telling me." I tilted my head slightly. "I just did." Olivia stepped closer, anger mixing with panic. "This is insane. We built this together." I held Olivia's gaze, calm and unwavering. "We did." There was a pause. "And now?" Olivia asked, voice lower. I picked up my bag. "Now I'm taking my part with me." Olivia let out a short breath, shaking the head. "This doesn't make sense. You're overreacting." I almost smiled at that. "Am I?" Olivia nodded quickly. "Yes. You're making a mistake." I adjusted the strap on my shoulder. "No. I'm correcting one." "You're not even going to talk about it?" Olivia asked, voice softer now, almost careful. I looked at Olivia for a second, then away. "There's nothing left to talk about." Olivia's expression tightened. "So that's it? You just leave?" I nodded. "Yeah." Olivia took another step forward, blocking my path slightly. "What about everything we had?" I met Olivia's eyes one last time. "It ended before today." Olivia's lips parted slightly, but no words came out at first. Then quietly, "You're serious?" I gave a simple answer. "I am." That was when it hit Olivia. I saw it clearly, the realization that this wasn't a bluff, not a moment, not something temporary. This was final. "Jason, wait," Olivia said quickly, reaching out slightly. I didn't move closer. "Don't do this." I shook my head once. "It's already done." Olivia's voice shifted, softer, almost pleading. We can fix this. I held that silence again, letting it stretch just enough. No, I said quietly. We can't. The room felt different now. Not heavy, not tense, just empty. Like something important had already left before I did. Olivia looked at me like trying to find something familiar, something that would respond, react, break. But there was nothing left to give. You're just going to walk away? Olivia asked, voice barely steady. I adjusted my grip on the bag. Yeah. Olivia shook the head again, slower this time. You'll come back. I didn't answer. I just walked toward the door. Jason, Olivia called behind me, louder now. I paused for half a second, not turning around. You'll regret this, Olivia added. I let out a small breath, then opened the door. I won't. And then I stepped out. The hallway was quiet, just like the apartment had been. I walked forward without stopping, without looking back. My phone started buzzing before I even reached the elevator. Olivia's name flashed on the screen. I ignored it. Another call came. Then another. Messages started appearing one after another. I didn't open them. I didn't need to. Whatever Olivia wanted to say now didn't matter anymore. By the time I stepped outside, the air felt different, lighter, clearer. I stood there for a moment, letting it settle. Not anger, not sadness. Just quiet. The kind of quiet that doesn't hurt. My phone buzzed again. I looked at it briefly, then turned it off completely. That was the moment everything ended. And everything began. I wasn't angry anymore. I wasn't hurt anymore. I wasn't waiting anymore. I was done. And for the first time in a long time, I felt free. Life didn't slow down after I left. It moved faster, sharper, cleaner. The kind of movement that only happens when nothing is holding you back anymore. You adapted quickly, Victor said during one of our meetings, watching me go through numbers on the screen. I didn't look up. I had time to think. Victor leaned back slightly. Most people think. Very few act. I gave a small nod. Thinking without action is just delay. Victor smiled faintly. That's why you're here. Deals started closing faster. Connections grew. Opportunities showed up one after another, like doors opening the moment I decided to walk forward. You're not chasing anything, Victor added. You're building. I finally looked at Victor. That's the plan. Victor nodded once. Then don't stop. I didn't intend to. Daniel met me later that evening. You look different, Daniel said the moment I sat down. I raised an eyebrow slightly. Better or worse? Daniel smirked. Better. Calmer. I leaned back in the chair. I am calmer. Daniel studied me for a second. You're not even thinking about going back? I shook my head once. No, Daniel nodded slowly. Good. There was a pause before Daniel spoke again. Things aren't looking great on the other side. I didn't ask what that meant. Daniel continued anyway. Ryan isn't what Olivia thought. From what I've heard, Ryan controls everything. Money, decisions, even who Olivia talks to. I stayed quiet, letting the words settle. And? I asked. Daniel exhaled. And Olivia isn't handling it well. I nodded slightly. That's expected. Daniel leaned forward. You don't care? I held his gaze, calm and steady. I understand. That answer seemed to surprise him more than anything else. Lisa reached out again a few days later. It got worse, Lisa said over the phone, voice lower than before. I walked slowly along the street, letting the night air stay quiet around me. How? I asked. Lisa hesitated, then spoke. Ryan started pulling back. Less attention, less support. And Olivia? Olivia pushed harder. I stopped for a moment. Pushed how? Lisa sighed softly. Trying to hold on to something that was never stable. I resumed walking. And the truth? I asked. Lisa didn't answer right away. I told more people, Lisa admitted. I couldn't stay quiet anymore. I didn't react. So now? I asked. Lisa's voice tightened slightly. Now people are talking. About Olivia. About everything. I looked ahead, expression unchanged. That was always going to happen. Lisa sounded uncertain. You're really not going to do anything? I gave a simple answer. I already did. Lisa didn't ask more. She didn't need to. I saw Olivia once from a distance. Not planned. Not intentional. Just one of those moments life puts in front of you without asking. Olivia stood outside a building, phone in hand, expression tense, nothing like the confidence I used to see. Ryan wasn't there. Not beside her. Not anywhere near. I slowed my steps slightly, just enough to notice the difference. Jason, Olivia said when she noticed me. The voice wasn't the same. It didn't carry certainty anymore. It carried something else. I stopped a few feet away, keeping the space between us clear. Olivia, I replied, tone even. Olivia stepped closer, like trying to close that distance. Can we talk? I looked at her for a second, then shook my head lightly. There's nothing left to talk about. Olivia's expression tightened. That's not true. I didn't argue. I just stayed quiet. That silence forced her to continue. Things didn't go how I expected, Olivia admitted. I almost smiled, but I didn't. They usually don't, I said calmly. Olivia took another step forward. I made mistakes. I held her gaze, not cold, not warm, just clear. You made choices, I corrected. Olivia flinched slightly at that. I didn't think. Olivia stopped mid-sentence. I finished it quietly. You didn't think there would be consequences. Olivia didn't deny it. She just looked at me like trying to find something familiar. You've changed, Olivia said softly. I nodded once. Yeah. There was a pause before she spoke again. Are you happy? That question hung in the air for a moment. I considered it, then answered honestly. I'm at peace. Olivia's eyes shifted slightly, like that answer hit deeper than expected. I never wanted to hurt you, Olivia said. I didn't respond immediately. Then calmly, you did. No anger. No blame. Just truth. Ryan isn't what I thought, Olivia added, voice quieter now. I nodded slightly. I know. Olivia looked surprised. You know? I gave a small breath. I understand patterns. Olivia shook her head slightly. I thought I was choosing better. I looked at her, steady and calm. You chose easier. That landed. I saw it in her face. Is there any chance? Olivia asked, barely finishing the sentence. I didn't hesitate. No, the answer was simple. Clear. Final. Olivia looked down for a second, then back up. You're serious. I gave a small nod. I am. That was when I saw it fully, not just regret, but realization. The kind that comes too late. I didn't stay after that. I didn't need to. I walked away the same way I had before, without noise, without hesitation. Olivia didn't follow this time. Olivia didn't call out. Maybe she understood. Maybe she didn't. It didn't matter anymore. A few days later, I met Sophia. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't intense. It was simple. You're Jason, right? Sophia asked with a calm smile. I nodded. Yeah. Sophia extended a hand lightly. Sophia. I shook it. Nice to meet you. There was something different about her presence. No pressure. No expectations. Just calm. Daniel talks about you, Sophia said. I glanced at Daniel briefly. Hopefully good things. Sophia smiled slightly. Mostly about how quiet you are. I almost smiled at that. That's fair. Sophia tilted her head slightly. Quiet isn't a bad thing. I met her eyes for a second. Depends on why someone is quiet. Sophia didn't push further. She just nodded. You don't seem like someone who rushes, Sophia said after a moment. I shook my head. I don't. Sophia smiled softly. Good. That was it. No pressure. No expectations. Just space. For the first time in a long time, I felt something different. Not tension. Not control. And that was worth more than anything I had left behind. I didn't expect Olivia to come back, but something about the timing made sense. People don't return when things are good. They return when everything falls apart. I was in the office when Adrian walked in. Someone is asking for you, Adrian said, tone neutral. I didn't look up immediately. Who? Adrian hesitated for a second. Olivia. That name didn't hit the way it used to. I closed the file in front of me and leaned back slightly. Let her in. Adrian nodded and stepped out. A few seconds later, the door opened again. Olivia walked in slowly, and for the first time I saw it clearly. No confidence, no control, no calm. Just uncertainty. Jason, Olivia said quietly. I didn't stand. I didn't move toward Olivia. Sit, I replied, pointing to the chair across from me. Olivia sat down carefully, like even that small action felt unfamiliar. You look different, Olivia said after a moment. I met Olivia's eyes briefly. So do you. That wasn't meant to hurt. It was just true. Olivia took a breath, hands resting together tightly. I didn't know where else to go, Olivia admitted. I stayed silent, letting the space fill with whatever Olivia needed to say next. Things didn't work out, Olivia continued, voice unsteady. I nodded once. I figured. Olivia looked at me, searching for something. You don't even want to ask? I shook my head slightly. No, that answer seemed to catch Olivia off guard. You're not even curious? Olivia pressed. I leaned forward slightly, resting my arms on the desk. I already know enough. That was the truth. I didn't need details. I didn't need explanations. The outcome said everything. Olivia's voice softened. I made a mistake. I didn't interrupt. I didn't react. I just listened. I thought I was choosing something better, Olivia added. I tilted my head slightly. You thought you were upgrading. Olivia looked down for a second. Yes. I gave a small nod. And now? Olivia's fingers tightened together. Now I see what I lost. I let that sit for a moment before responding. You didn't lose anything, I said calmly. Olivia looked up quickly. What do you mean? I held her gaze steady and clear. You made a choice. You got exactly what you chose. Olivia's expression shifted, like the words landed deeper than expected. That's not fair, Olivia said quietly. I raised an eyebrow slightly. Fair? I repeated. Olivia nodded. I didn't know it would turn out like this. I leaned back slightly. That's the point. You didn't care enough to think it through. Olivia flinched slightly but didn't argue. I'm not here to fight, Olivia said after a moment. I'm here to fix things. I stayed still, my expression unchanged. There's nothing to fix. Olivia leaned forward slightly. There is. We can start over. I shook my head once. No, Olivia blinked like the answer wasn't expected. You didn't even think about it, Olivia said, voice rising slightly. I kept my tone even. I did. A long time ago. Olivia's breathing became uneven. Jason, please? That word didn't move me. It didn't carry the weight it once did. No, I repeated, just as calm as before. Olivia stared at me, searching for something. Anger, pain, anything. Why are you so calm? Olivia asked, frustration slipping through. I gave a simple answer. Because I already accepted it. Olivia shook her head. No, that's not normal. You should be angry. I almost smiled at that. Why? I asked. Olivia hesitated. Because I hurt you. I nodded once. You did. Olivia leaned forward again. Then why aren't you reacting? I held her gaze, my voice steady. Because I don't need to. Silence filled the room for a moment, heavy but controlled. Olivia looked at me like trying to understand something that no longer made sense. You've changed, Olivia said quietly. I nodded. I have. Olivia's voice dropped slightly. I don't recognize you anymore. I leaned back, relaxed. That's because you never really knew me. That line hit harder than anything else I had said. I saw it in her face. The realization. The regret. The weight of everything catching up at once. I thought, Olivia started then stopped. I finished it for her. You thought I would stay the same. Olivia didn't deny it. I didn't think you would walk away like that, Olivia admitted. I gave a small breath. You thought I would break. Olivia looked down. Yes. I leaned forward slightly. I didn't break, I said calmly. I adapted. Olivia looked back up, eyes slightly glassy now. And there's nothing left? Olivia asked. I didn't hesitate. No, Olivia's voice softened even more. Not even a chance? I shook my head once. No, there was no anger in it. No hesitation. Just finality. Olivia sat there for a few seconds like trying to process everything at once. Then slowly, you're serious. I nodded. I am. Olivia looked around the office then back at me. You built all of this? Olivia asked quietly. I gave a small nod. Yeah. Olivia's expression shifted again. Not just regret, but realization. I didn't just lose you, Olivia said slowly. I lost everything. I didn't correct that. I didn't need to. I stood up then, not abruptly, just enough to signal the end of the conversation. Olivia noticed immediately. You're leaving? Olivia asked. I adjusted my jacket slightly. I have work. Olivia let out a small breath. Of course you do. I walked around the desk, stopping for just a second in front of her. Take care of yourself, I said calmly. Olivia looked up at me, eyes searching one last time. Jason, Olivia started. I didn't wait for the rest. I had already heard everything that mattered. I walked past her, opening the door without looking back. I didn't need to see her reaction. I already knew what it was. That was the moment Olivia realized everything. Not when she left. Not when things started falling apart. But now. When there was nothing left to hold on to. And nothing left to come back to. Because I wasn't the man she thought I was. And I never would be again. Life didn't feel heavy anymore. It felt steady. Controlled. The kind of calm that doesn't come from luck, but from decisions. I stood near the window of my office, looking out at the city lights when Sophia walked in. "You're thinking again?" Sophia said with a soft smile. I turned slightly towards Sophia. Not thinking. Just observing. Sophia stepped closer, calm as always. "That's your way of thinking." I gave a small nod. "Maybe." Sophia looked out the window beside me. "Everything looks different from up here," Sophia said. I followed Sophia's gaze. "It does." There was a short silence before Sophia spoke again. "Do you ever look back?" I didn't answer right away. Then I said honestly, "No." Sophia glanced at me. "Not even a little?" I shook my head. "There's nothing there for me anymore." Sophia didn't push further. That was something I appreciated about Sophia. No pressure, no expectations. We left the office later that evening, walking side by side through the quiet street. "You've built something strong," Sophia said casually. I looked ahead. "I built something stable." Sophia smiled slightly. "That's better." I glanced at Sophia. "Why?" Sophia shrugged lightly. "Because stable things don't break easily." I almost smiled at that. "That's the goal." We reached a small cafe and sat down, the atmosphere calm, nothing like the chaos I used to live in. "You're different from most people I've met," Sophia said, resting her chin lightly on her hand. I raised an eyebrow slightly. "How?" Sophia studied me for a moment. "You don't chase. You don't react. You just decide." I leaned back slightly. "Reacting gives control away." Sophia nodded slowly. "And deciding?" I met Sophia's eyes. "That's how you take it back." Sophia smiled, a quiet understanding in her expression. A few days later I saw Olivia again. Not planned. Not expected. Just a moment that happened without warning. Olivia stood across the street, near a small building, holding a phone, expression distant. The difference was obvious. The confidence was gone. The certainty was gone. Olivia looked tired. Lost. I stopped walking for a second, just enough to notice. Then Olivia looked up and saw me. "Jason," Olivia said softly, like the name still carried something. I didn't move closer. I didn't step away either. I just stood there. Olivia took a small step forward. "Can we talk?" Olivia asked. I looked at Olivia for a moment, calm, unaffected. "There's nothing to talk about," I replied evenly. Olivia's expression tightened slightly. "I just wanted to see you." I gave a small nod. "You've seen me?" Olivia looked like she wanted to say more, but the words didn't come easily this time. "You're doing well," Olivia said after a moment, voice quieter than before. I didn't answer that. I didn't need to. Olivia continued, "I heard about everything." I kept my expression neutral. "People talk." Olivia gave a faint, almost broken smile. "Yeah, they do." There was a pause before Olivia spoke again. I didn't think it would turn out like this. I looked at Olivia, not with anger, not with pity, just clarity. "It always turns out like this," I said calmly. Olivia's eyes shifted slightly. "You don't feel anything?" Olivia asked, almost carefully. I answered without hesitation. "No." That single word seemed heavier than anything else. Olivia looked down for a second, then back up. "I lost you," Olivia said quietly. I shook my head slightly. "No." Olivia frowned slightly. "What do you mean?" I held her gaze. "You let me go." Olivia didn't respond to that. Maybe because Olivia knew it was true. "I wish I could change things," Olivia said after a moment. I nodded once. "You can't." Olivia took a small breath. "I know." That was different. No denial. No excuses. Just acceptance. "Are you happy?" Olivia asked the same question from before, but this time it felt different. I thought about it for a second, then answered honestly. "Yes." Olivia's lips pressed together slightly, like that answer settled something inside. "I'm glad," Olivia said, even though the words didn't fully match the expression. I didn't say anything back. There was nothing to add. Sophia's voice came from behind me. "Jason." I turned slightly as Sophia walked closer, calm as always. Sophia glanced at Olivia briefly, then back at me. "Ready?" Sophia asked. I nodded once. "Yeah." Olivia looked at Sophia, then at me. The realization was clear this time, not confusion, not doubt. Just understanding. "You moved on," Olivia said softly. I didn't correct that. I didn't explain. I just accepted it. Olivia stepped back slightly. Take care, Jason, Olivia said. I gave a small nod. You too. That was it. No drama. No wait. Just an ending that had already happened long ago. I walked away with Sophia beside me the same way I had walked away before, but this time, there was nothing behind me at all. No anger. No regret. No attachment. Just peace. And that was something no one could take from me. Not anymore.